Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digitally Uploaded Podcast, the companion podcast for digitallydownloaded.net. I'm Matt Sainsbury, the editor of That There website, and with me this week we have an all-star cast, starting with Trent. Hello, Trent.
Hello.
Good to have you on as always. And we also have Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello. I am Matt.
You are Matt.
I am here.
You are here. Alan is not, which means we can get away with all kinds of stuff this week, which
Cursed
we never
cast.
get away. Yes, the
I
cursed
remember the
cast.
last time that I was on a podcast that Alan was on as well.
It has been a while, which is good. We'll delve into the nasties of the gaming world, and Alan can't stop us, and that'll be great.
Something Alan would appreciate is I accidentally saw an ad for the Xbox Lynx deodorant stuff, and it's worse than you would have expected. It's like just the product itself wasn't terrible enough that to just get even worse with the ad.
Oh, I can one up you there. Guess what they've launched over here in Japan, Matt?
Oh no! What have they done?
Kid you not? They've launched a scent range, so deodorants and stuff, just like the Xbox One. Only instead of Xbox, it is Fate. So now you can wander around smelling like Rin, I guess, which is actually not. That's not so bad. I've already bought 1,000 bottles. And on that silence, we'll go to some music. We'll go to some music. I've shocked the other two guys into silence. We'll have some Hatsune Miku music, which is not Ascent just yet. Probably will be soon. And we'll come back and we're going to talk about remakes first this week.
Let's remake this podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we are going to talk about remakes this week because we've been playing quite a few, actually. It was, about a week ago that Link's Awakening was released, 2 weeks ago that Link's Awakening was released, and we played and forgot about that pretty quickly. Except for Trent, who's apparently stuck in it. It's an old game, Trent. It's an old game.
At least I've progressed more in it compared to how much you've progressed in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay, good call. Yeah, but, I'll give you that one. And we've also been playing the. Well, I want to say I wouldn't want to say playing so much as using it as an alternative to getting teeth pulled, and that's the Dragon Quest trilogy, which was recently re-released on the Switch. And Matt, the other Matt, not me, I wouldn't talk about myself like that in third person.
Yes, you would.
and other Matt has pretty strong opinions about that series of releases. And then I've been playing which is not the card game, as Alan keeps reminding me. It's actually a visual novel that was a pretty important one. It was released way back when, and it's finally been remastered and re-released in this day and age for the modern audience. So the reason we're talking about these is, frankly, they all suck. Not really. They're actually often pretty good games, but we do have, I do have issues, I guess, with the whole remaking process. So I think we'll start with getting your opinions before I launch into my rants. But Matt, of those remakes that you've been playing, what are your general thoughts about them? Are they firstly worth doing from the developer's point of view or the publisher's point of view? Secondly, are the developers and publishers doing them right?
That was a tricky question. Well, the second one is an easy question, and the answer is no. I mean, I can't speak for I also just want to go off on a quick tangent and say that anyone who pronounces Uno as is doesn't have rights. It's the card game is Uno, not So that's out of the way.
That was the strongest opinion you've ever had, isn't it?
I didn't realize Alan. I didn't understand Alan's jokes on Twitter until I realized it. Until just then, when you said it, and I understood, and I was very shocked to my very core. Yeah, I can't. I haven't played the original or the remake, so I can't really say anything about that. But Dragon Quest is a very good game. Dragon Quest 2 is a very good game. Dragon Quest 3 is a brilliant game, and probably, I would say, one of the best in the whole series. The remakes on Switch are not good. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in particular, I think, 3 is not so bad. 1 and 2 is basically, you have a completely different art style for the backgrounds and like the maps and the levels and the actual character sprites. They are a completely different resolution. They don't match at all, and I think what a lot of people said is accurate. It looks like a really bad kind of someone's first RPG Maker project, which is not really what you would expect from what is essentially the game that gave birth to the JRPG, the whole JRPG genre. It deserves better than that. I didn't actually play enough of it to run into any of the issues that you were talking about, Matt, with like the performance issues and all that kind of stuff, because I basically played as far as getting out of the castle and my eyes were burned out of my skull, and that was as I played it. Yeah, I have heard that Dragon Quest 3 runs a bit better in the Switch version and looks better. It's not as, at least, like, I mean, the sprites are the right size. They're not like, you don't have these kind of giant balloon babies trekking across like a tiny map.
Yeah, it's slightly better, but only slightly. It's still aesthetically broken. Let's put it that way. That's the way I like to put it. It's aesthetically broken, and they're terrible because they are trashing my memory of those games, and that's not cool at all. No developer should do that. But
yeah, the weird thing is I've been like since they came out, I've been so upset that I've been just diving into all the different remakes of them over the years, and I think where the current art style is, or the current art style that's been used seems to originate from the very first mobile version from I think 2004, which was made for what was at the time the cutting edge flip phone in Japan, and with a very tiny screen and small resolution. If you look at the screenshots of it on that, it actually doesn't look so bad. For one thing, the pixels between the sprites and the background are all in proportion to each other. But it seems like they've just basically, for every subsequent release, they've taken that, kept the backgrounds the same, and then increased the resolution of the sprites. So they just keep, each new release, they get gradually more and more just disjointed and hideous, and now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I guess that kind of segues into the next question is why would the publishers and developers do that? And you kind of answer that with well, no, making money is one thing, but why would they decide to not just re-release the games? Because I mean, Square Enix has the capacity to simply re-release these things as well, as you saw with the Collection of Mana series. Those are all just straight re-releases, including the Game Boy one. They didn't try and remake it or anything like that. So the reason I guess that they did that with Dragon Quest in the initial state was to make it work on a platform that was not really able to play the original as was. I guess the question is, why did they not go back to that original for a console like the Switch, which is more than capable of playing the original NES, with all its pixelated glory. And that question also applies to the good quality remakes, such as Link's Awakening. Now that's a very good quality remake. It's a very good game in the remade state, and it works well on Switch, and it's a very playable, very enjoyable, very pleasant looking game. But why did Nintendo remake it? Why not just re-release the Game Boy one on Switch is the question. And for me, I don't know. This is not how I would go about things, but then I'm a bit of a purist. I believe that these old games have value still as they are, and Link's Awakening on the Game Boy was a very good looking game, and still is a very good looking game, and would be worth re-releasing in that state for people to play again.
I think it's something similar to like the Disney movies game remade. Like it's like they're not inherently bad remakes as such in terms of aesthetically. The originals were better for us, but I feel like they're not made for us. They're made for the upcoming generation. They're made for people which go, oh, this is a new release, this is a new Zelda, I haven't played this, I'm picking it up. Whereas if it was just released in, say, let's say they made a Game Boy net like classic thing like the NES stuff. Like if it was just dumped onto there, yes, a few people might look at it and go, oh yeah, this is cool. This is like the Zelda I haven't played. But I feel like as an actual proper remake, it gets more traction, it gets more marketing budget behind it. So people are like, hey, I didn't play that, or hey, I never heard of this before. I'm gonna check it out, and it looks good. Yeah.
I think you're right. Except not where Dragon Quest is concerned, because they've just those particular ones, they just have made them worse even than the originals. But yeah, I think as a general rule, that's the thing.
And I think I mean the Dragon Quest ones are not really that much of a remake. They're more they are remakes, but they're not complete remakes like Link's Awakening is. Because, I think Trent's right. I think Link's Awakening's core audience was to the people who would never pick up a Game Boy game, or they weren't around when the Game Boy was around. So for them, that's a very foreign kind of console, and it's a bit quaint, and they might be interested in the game as a bit of a museum trip through the old video games, but in terms of a new release, they do want something with modern production values. So if Square Enix was to go out and completely remake Dragon Quest 1 so it looks like Dragon Quest 11, for example, that would be a thing, I guess. And I'd probably be more on board with it in the same way that I'm kind of on board with Link's Awakening, even though I still believe that these games, when they're remade, should have the original on there as well, so people can play those. I think Link's Awakening's biggest problem was that the original Link's Awakening, or at least the Game Boy Color one, was not there if people wanted to play that as well. I mean, it's virtually no effort to put it on there as an addition. And
or even as... if they really just release it separately, and sell it separately, and and that's what Square Enix is doing essentially with Trials of Mana. Is you have the Mana collection, whatever it's called, which has the original Super Nintendo version, and then they're doing a full remake as well, which is going to come out next year, I believe. And so basically, people have the choice of whichever one they want to play, and people who want to play both can spend the money and buy both, and that's fine. And I just think that I think is a lot of the time a better option than just give people the choice of what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's in some way they need to give people the choice, whether it's to put them both on the same game or to release them as separate entities. I think ideally, in an ideal world, wherever possible, it'd be great if developers could work out ways to do this where you can actually swap between the two while playing one. So you can, a bit like how Dragon Quest 11 has the 3D version, or you can swap it back to the old sprites style if you'd like to. I'd really love to see, with these remakes, for developers to actually do that, where you can just pick which style you want. And you can swap between them at will, so you can actually see how the developers go about modernizing a game, kind of in real time. I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity with which I've been playing through. That they've actually gone and remade all the art, which looks good. It's very lovely art. It's the artist that they got to do it is the person that was behind the Art and Alico series that Gus did. So very talented artist, has done some really great stuff with the art, and it stays true to what the intent of the original was. But it would have been lovely to be able to swap back and forth between the original art and this stuff, just to see how they modernized it. I'm fascinated in that process. And
there was I can't remember which one, a Monster Boy game that got remade maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It did preserve the original, and to the point that you could literally just press a button and switch between the remade graphics and the original graphics wherever you are and whatever you're doing, which I thought was really cool and is a good way of doing that.
I agree. It's definitely the holy grail, I feel, for remakes. I can understand that there's a whole bunch of reasons that it wouldn't necessarily work with every game.
No.
But
it kind of forces the remake then to be identical in every way except for visual presentation kind of stuff. But
yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you look at Link's Awakening shifts to kind of full 360-degree movement as opposed to puttering around using the D-pad and stuff like that. So it does play slightly differently to the original Link's Awakening. So.
Have you played Root Letter Last Answer?
Sorry, which one?
Root Letter Last Answer.
Oh, yes, I have. Yes. That's an odd one because I couldn't stand the remake at all. So I just played it on the original. Yeah, so for listeners, Root Letter is a visual novel that was released a couple of years ago on PlayStation 4. It's very good, very, very good indeed. And they remastered it in the sense of, well, they remade it, which is odd because it's a game that's only a couple of years old, so remake doesn't really work. But they did a live action version of it where they basically replaced all the art with photography and all the, anime characters with people, with actors. And yeah, I'm glad it's there for people that I guess prefer the realness of people. And it kind of actually works as a tourism guide for Shimano Prefecture, which is where the route letter is based. So on that account, I think it's a good thing because not enough tourists go to Shimano. You should definitely do so if you're in Japan at any point. But yeah, for me, I preferred the anime, so I just stuck to it. But I was glad that I had the option to switch between at will. And on that night, I think we'll go to some music. What's some good music? I'm going to throw it over to... I was going to say I was going to give it to you, Trent, but I know you're just going to pick Link's Awakening music. Fine, we'll give you Link's Awakening music.
What? What if I do what Link's Awakening? Actually, Link's Awakening music is pretty good. It's like more orchestrated. It's more balanced. It's actually enjoyable. I like the overworld one for when you go first, where you go to like the mountain area. That sounds cool. Yeah, the more orchestrated overworld version. Do that. Yeah.
Yep. Done.
Yeah.
No, use music from the Game Boy. Do the Game Boy version.
Like switch it halfway between it.
Yes, that'll be an editing task for Alan, but I'm sure he's up to it. Okay. Anyway, it is going to be Link's Awakening music. We're going to come back and talk about something else. And welcome back, everybody. Okay, so we're going to talk about something which was announced a couple of weeks ago by Nintendo, but we're getting pretty close to the release of it now, so we figured that it'd be good to look at it, especially since I'm still in Japan and they've been promoting it heavily. It's been everywhere on TV. Every time I turn the thing on, there's ads for it there, which is good. It's showing off the quality of the thing, and I'm pretty excited for it, to be honest. What's it called? Ring Fit Adventure, right?
Yes.
Did I get that right, Trent?
You got it right. You got it right the first time.
Hurrah! Huzzah! I did get it right.
Have to practice it a lot during the break at all.
Yeah.
Adventure Ring Fit. I mean, what?
Ring Adventure Fit. There's a lot of combinations you can make with Ring Adventure and Fit, and some of them are pretty, well, they need to be censored. But Ring Fit Adventure. It's
What combinations need to be censored, Matt? I'm really
I'll,
curious now. I can't think of any.
I'll tell you off air, Matt. I'm not going to
My,
do it on the podcast. I know
my,
you like to
my,
trick me into getting the R18 rating for the podcast, but you know,
my
I'll,
simple, innocent mind can't think of any.
we'll give you time to think about it a bit later on.
Mm.
But Ring Fit Adventure. So this is a fitness thing that Nintendo announced, and basically what it is it's a rubber ring, and you stick one of the Joy-Cons in there, sucked in if you bought the Switch Lite. You stick one of the Joy-Cons into the Ring Fit rubber band. I think the other one you strap onto, it can go on a leg strap or an arm strap. I think it can basically go to any part of the body that needs the additional motion control. And
Any part of the body, did you say?
I've got enough
any part of the-
Joy-Con. There should be enough straps I can have one on each arm and one on each leg. That would be fun.
Still not enough, Trent. What about one on the abs, one around the neck, one on the head? You could wear a hat with a Joy-Con on. But anyway, back to Ring Fit Adventure. Once you've got yourself set up, then you get to do an RPG thing where all the attacks and all the adventuring and all that stuff actually happens through motion. So you want to shoot the bow, you actually need to pull the rubber band back in a bow motion. And I think based on the ads that I saw, there was this really neat one where you dodged a boss's attacks or you attacked a boss. I couldn't quite work out which, but you did that by doing like a core stretching exercise on the floor, which was pretty cool. It's like doing sit-ups to kill the Dark Lord. I'm a big fan of this. I think it's great. It seems like it's
brilliant.
It seems like it goes through a full range of motions, and it does look like it's actually a genuine kind of workout at home while you're doing an adventure thing, which I think is really neat. And I'm a big fan of this idea. I hope it works out as well as it looks, but I'm certainly keen. What about you, Trent? Are you gonna buy this and then 2 weeks later have a cracking six-pack?
Oh, we'll see. I'll probably suck at doing all the fitness stuff, so I'll probably be like sore for weeks. No, I think it's a great idea. Like it's gamifying fitness more so than stuff like Wii Fit or Wii Sports did. So it's definitely going to be like a new market. It's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. It's going to make kids get up from Fortnite and play video games and get fit.
Well, I think Wii Fit was obviously a start for this whole idea towards bringing fitness and games together, but it was a bit limited by the technology. I mean, you needed to be on that balance board, and you couldn't do jumps on it. You couldn't do star jumps on that balance board without smashing it, and it was limited. I think this one is a much more comprehensive thing. It's kind of freed of peripherals. Yes, you need the rubber band, but that's not a big thing. And it gives you free movement around the house and all that kind of stuff. So definitely a much more advanced version of Wii Fit, and that's opened them up to do much more complex games. And I think this one, the difference between Wii Fit and this one is Wii Fit was a bunch of mini games, and it wasn't much more than that. Whereas this one seems like it's more of a comprehensive video game as well. I doubt it'll be an epic of the same standard of Dragon Quest in terms of the storytelling, but it's going to appeal to people who enjoyed those kinds of adventure / RPG.
I get a Sushi Striker kind of vibe to it, like in terms of like how it's laid out, how it's like what sort of like missions, I guess, like the gamify. I don't know, like it feels like Sushi Striker if Sushi Striker was an adventure game.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. Aesthetically, it's down that path, I guess. That's Nintendo doing the... Well, I like to say it's part of that collection of games that includes ARMS and... what's that? Splatoon one. It's that kind of youthy vibe. Sunday. Youthy
vibe.
Youthy vibe. That's actually the name of the art style. So, 100 years from now, when they're in museums looking at pictures of this stuff, they're going to call it Yuti Vibe.
Well, I just googled what developer actually made it, and you're right on the money. It's the developers which did things like Sushi Striker, Splatoon,
Yeah. So whoever that artist is terrible and should be fired. But they make pretty good games aside from that.
Welcome to the art museum. Here's the impressionism section. Here's cubism. Here's youthy vibes.
It fits. I'm telling you, it fits. Youthy vibes. Okay, so yes, Youthy vibes. It looks like that, and that's not for me. But I always enjoy those games anyway, despite the aesthetic.
I do agree that the main character does look like it's ripped out of arms just without arms.
What about you, Matt? Are you a fan of the Youthy vibes? Are you going to be giving this game a go?
I don't know if I'm youthy enough to give it a go. I think you have to be feeling really youthy. You have to have some youthy vibes running through your veins.
You can also be middle-aged and depressed and, excited for, having a midlife crisis and got a Switch for Christmas and this game because your kids think you need to lose some weight. That could also be an option.
All right, I guess on that note, then, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
you get
middle-aged and depressed. Sounds good.
You get yourself enough in shape, you can buy the Ferrari afterwards.
But no, on a serious note, I'm really looking forward to it. It looks really cool.
It'll be interesting to see how they actually break it down because, I mean, asking somebody to sit in front of a table, not sit, actually stretch and jump and roll and crunch across a 50-hour RPG without a clear transition wouldn't work. I imagine it'd need to be broken down into workout session length bites of gameplay. So I guess for more beginners, it'll need to be quite short. For more advanced players, it'd probably be longer. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they actually break it down and how they account for different, I guess, fitness levels as well. Is that how the difficulty works? if you're like a gym junkie, are you going to be playing on the hardest difficulty? But if you're flabby everywhere, do you need to? Is that easy mode? I don't understand how that's going to work either at this stage. So it'll be interesting to see because they're going to have to account for they're going to have to account for fitness levels, obviously, and they're also going to have to account for, I guess, experience with exercise routines and stuff like that. They can't ask people to play for an hour and a half right out the box.
Well, they could, but maybe that wouldn't be great for some people. People like me.
People like anybody normal.
Yeah. No, I am also curious to see how they break it down. But I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to about it is that, I mean, I always tend to enjoy those kind of fitness type games anyway. But then, as I said, most of previous examples, they kind of mini games or the, like the boxing one where it's just, it gets to a point of just, I guess, like real fitness, just doing the same thing every day. And then I tend to get bored of them after a while. Mm-hmm. But whereas if it's, in like a big sprawling RPG that I'm with some sort of story that I'm working through, then there's, I guess, for me, is more of an incentive to then keep coming back to it and keep playing and get something out of it.
And for me, I mean, you were saying?
I was going to say, almost make, even though, I mean, exercise is the point, but almost make that kind of the side effect of doing something else that I'm enjoying. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess that's why I'm keen on it as well. I mean, for me, the issue I had with a lot of the exercise games that were released is they're all quite focused, I guess, on an aerobic exercise experience. Like that boxing one that you mentioned, for example. It's a very aerobic style exercise. And to be honest, this isn't trying to big note myself or anything. I actually do spend a fair bit of time in the gym on aerobic exercises as it is. So those kinds of games are pitched a little bit, they're a little bit too easy, effortless for me, I guess. But I have a lot of trouble doing kind of core strength exercises and having the discipline to do them and actually wanting to do them. So a game like this, which based on the videos that I've seen actually has a lot of core exercise kind of built into it as well, that might be what I need to actually get the exercise that I need done. Because for the sport I do, I need a lot of core strength, and I just don't have it, and I never get it. So this might be actually a real benefit to me.
And while you're playing this game, you can also watch that new anime about like fitness. That's pretty good. It's got like some fun fitness tips.
What?
Yeah.
Trent,
there's an anime, and it's like about fitness. They all go to like a fitness place, like a gym. That's what they're called, and they get like they get fit, and like the teacher's like some like hunk, and then he like rips out, and he's like a massive bodybuilder, and he's always doing like like moves, but like it's got like breaks where they like teach you how to actually do the stuff which is on the anime.
Trent, your descriptions of things sometimes are so surreal. I love them. Fitness anime. Okay, I'll just wade through the 300,000 fitness animes there are out there.
It's the new one on the Anime Lab. The how fit are my doorbells, or what they are.
The new hot new anime of the season. How fit are my doorbells?
If that is not an anime, that needs to be an anime.
I'm also looking forward to the thing that surely would have to come at some point. I feel like I should clarify this is not something that's been announced, but it should be, is Ring Fit Muscle March.
Oh yes, that has to happen. Every console needs a Muscle March. That is a masterpiece, that game.
I just want a general Ring Fit sports. Like figure out how to like whack that into like give me some tennis, some bowling, just all Ring Fit. Like Wii Fit. I mean not Wii Fit, Wii Sports. Give me some of that. The best sports game was Kinect Sports. So if they can do that on Switch, we set.
Well, I'm sure if this thing takes off, there'll be plenty more of these games to come because, as we discussed, Ring Fit Adventure's the subtitle. So Ring Fit is obviously the brand, and there may well be more of those in the future, but not for you Switch Lite people. No, you don't get to play any of this because you need detachable Joy-Cons, and you bought the shitty console. You're lost. On that note,
just before we say that, like with Labo, like where there was like some stuff when it was pre-announced, which didn't really happen until later down the track. I'm pretty sure that the initial trailer had like archery like moves. Like maybe that's not in the game. There's going to be an archery game.
Oh, it is in the game. I've already seen footage of that in the ads. There is archery in in Ring Fit Adventure.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's like hidden secrets to like detect what the next game's going to be in the trailer.
There may well be, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a franchise if it sells well enough. And to be honest, this is the kind of thing that I think will sell well enough. So on that note, we're going to go to some music. Trent had his pick. You get to pick this time, Matt. Pick a song. It has to be a good song. It can't be Sonic. I don't know, but now I'm going to have actually just for the giving Alan, just for giving Alan the challenge of actually watching Muscle March videos, we are definitely using music from Muscle March. Muscle March music. We're going to come back and talk about something again different. And welcome back, everybody. Okay, so for the last section of the podcast this week, we are going to talk about the strangest games we have ever played. The weird, the wonderful, the wacky, and the surreal. And the reason I'm actually doing this segment, or we are doing this segment, is pretty simple, really. I just want to hear Trent describe the games that he's played that are actually weird. Because...
aren't they all weird?
He manages to describe the most normal things in the most strange terms, so I can't wait to see what he does with a weird game.
Suddenly I'm all very professional and profound about stuff.
So, Trent, tell us, what is a strange game you have played, and please do describe it.
So I was going to say, about the, the Tingle freshly pickled rupee lands. I was going to talk about the awesomeness of that Nintendo DS game, where basically you just click rupees, and it's sort of like a Wario world on the Wii kind of, where you just collect coins. But then I thought, I actually kickstarted the most weirdest game, which was so badly designed, but at the same time so profoundly surreal. And I'm just looking for what that was. I think it was like Honeypot or something. It like had a really weird name. Hold on. So someone just randomly say shit, or I'll just randomly rant until I log into Kickstarter.
I'm so confused right now. I think one of the weirdest games I've ever played was a game you might have heard of called The Last of Us, which was mostly weird in that it was a very mediocre game.
The Last of Us?
Yeah, it was a very mediocre game.
Isn't that Sony big budget blockbuster shooty thing?
Yeah, it was very weird because it was kind of mediocre, but people keep saying it's the best game ever made. And it's very weird to me.
We're going to get so much hate now. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for that. Thanks very much. I appreciate that.
My opinions are my own and do not represent digitally downloaded.
All right. I shall now save the podcast. It was a little game called Where the Bees Make Honey.
That's a little bit different to Honeypot, Trent. How did you get Honeypot?
Well, it has honey in the title, and it could.
Where are we going with this?
So the game starts out. You're in an office. You're like, you're a chick who's like had grand visions for like working, as something imaginative, but you're stuck in a call center and you slowly go crazy. I mean, you slowly realize that, childhood wonder is the whole point of the game. So it starts to break away and you start going on like a surreal sort of adventure. But some of the things are just so badly designed, like jumping and platforming sections are like horrible. You'd like go up like a ramp and then you'd be like, oh, I can't jump to the other thing, and other weird things like that. But the game was just, it's like, no wonder I kickstarted it, because it's just like the surreal bullshit stuff I spout on the podcast all the time. It's a weird experience. I think you turn into like rabbits or something at some point, and there's you turn into, and there's like lakes, and it just has no conceptually, things just go weird. It's like, let's build a level design, and it's meant to represent your childhood of being taken away by your parents, or looking for your parents, or some bullshit like that. And then it's like you're a rabbit, and then you're finding your parent rabbit, which is running away, but you're in a supermarket as well. So all the background music is them shopping and talking about they lost you in the supermarket. Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. And you're just this little rabbit hopping around in this map. And then eventually you get across a lake, and then it's like, oh, I found you. Oh, the whole game is just full of crap like that. It is just weird.
Okay.
We have both stunned in silence.
I have no idea how to
Trent.
I don't know how to process that, Trent. Okay, I've added that to my list of games to look into, I think.
Yeah. What's it called? Honeypot.
Honeypot. No, where the bees make honey.
Where the bees... Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm actually going to Google this right now, live on podcast. Where the bees make
It's a relatively short game,
honey.
so that's why I finished it.
Make
It's
sure
about
your
4
safe
hours
search is
long.
on, Matt, while you do that.
Where the bees make... Okay, so I put this into the Google, and it just comes up with a whole bunch of bees on honeycombs.
Well, that's why you usually type in the
Maybe
video
game.
game or
Maybe
game at
game.
the end. Like some of the games you give me, like
Okay,
you know,
so Trent, this game looks absolutely nothing like what you just described.
yeah. Well, you gotta watch a YouTube video. You gotta absorb the entertainment of
I
where
found
the
the-
bees make honey.
I found the bunnies. Okay, so there are bunnies. Okay,
Yes.
life is okay. Moving on. I don't know. The weirdest game I've ever played is, well, I mean, Muscle March is up there. Muscle March was a pretty weird game. It was bodybuilders crashing through walls, and then for some reason a panda in underwear crashing through walls as well. So that was pretty oddball, surreal. I've actually also played a game which is famous, I guess, for being odd, called Cho and Nikki. I don't know if either of you have heard that one.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, but you can type it into Google, but do so with caution, I guess.
Is it a fighting game?
No, it's a shmup, horizontal shmup. It's just absolutely loaded with very muscular men and very homoerotic imagery. Let's put it that way.
This sounds intriguing.
It's
Oh yeah.
It's a fascinatingly famous game. I don't think it was ever released outside of Japan. I would have been really surprised if it was, but it might actually have been localized since. Actually, it might be on something or other. Somebody might have done it. But yeah, it's a very surreal game.
There was a fighting game of it as well.
There was it?
Yeah.
There you go. Very muscular men.
Cho Aniki Bakuretsu Danto Hen on Super Nintendo. So basically what you described, but with muscular men wrestling.
Right. Well, that works too. that is a natural extension for this franchise, and to be honest, I would have thought that would be the default rather than a horizontal scrolling shmup, which doesn't really visually work. But anyway, that's a very strange game, and I played that quite a bit because it was so... it boggled the mind every time you came across a new thing. What else have I played that's a bit strange? Deadly Premonition counts, I guess. Although it's more conventional surreal, really. It's not weird for the sake of being weird. It's got points to make. It's basically Twin Peaks, the video game. But it does have my very favorite scene in all of video game-dom, which is this little scene where they take a break in the middle of discussing a horrible murder, a very horrible murder, like a girl's strung up on a tree and cut all the way down, and yeah, these two little kids actually are the ones that find her, so they're very shocked, and it's shaken the town. They're all shook, and then this detective just drops in from the FBI, so from interstate, comes in, drops in, and gets the police officer, sits down, and starts eating a butter cookie, and then decides to have a conversation about the cookie rather than the murder, which is pretty cool.
I mean, isn't that what you would do if you were in that position?
I mean, he's talking about the butter composition of this cookie, and he's thinking, I'm very particular about my cookies, and I think that's when
about that.
That's when this dude is class.
See, that's like trends inside a video game. That doesn't happen in Law and Order.
It does not happen in Law and Order. No, they do not take digressions to talk about cookies in Law and Order. That is true.
My name is Mayo is pretty weird.
Was it really? I thought it was just a clicker. You just click things, right?
You just click things.
Oh, those walking simulators.
Didn't he also make Mr. Masagi? Wasn't that the same director?
Yeah, same studio.
Yeah, and that was a bit weird.
It was That was a dating sim where one of the people you could date was a body pillow.
As you do.
Yeah.
That's living the dream, really.
Who, being a body pillow, literally has no dialogue. Every time it just is like 3 dots, and then your character just inserts what they think the body pillow is saying.
It's a simulation of real life.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And on that note, we'll wrap the podcast for the week. I'm going to. I get to pick the song. I'm going to get Trent. I'm going to get Alan to find music from Show and Nikki. I think. That'll get him. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next week, and I'm sure Alan will be on the podcast to make sure that we behave next time around. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being on the podcast, Matt and Trent.